Don't adjust your screen. We are a sun down. I know there's rumors about Trace and the transfer portal. I can't comment on that fully, only to tell you that he is on assignment tonight, but you worry not. UCF Mike is here with me, and we've got an action-packed show with you. Titus Davis scheduled to be here in a little bit. And a surprise, something we've only done once before, and I don't know if we're going to pull it off again this time, so we will see what we can do, Mike. But first off, man, how you feeling? Happy Thursday. Welcome to the live show. How's UCF's Mike's mood midweek after a tough weekend?
Yeah, it's gotten better. It's gotten better since Saturday and since Monday when we recorded the first show. I feel like I got more of the screen here without Trace, so that's nice, right? You know, the guy's in the portal, let him go. If he wants to go, somebody wants to hand him a bag and see if they want to take him from us. We've done the show for years without him. If he doesn't want to show up anymore, then he doesn't want to show up anymore. What am I going to do about it?
Well, that's going to play really, really well. But again, Trace on assignment. We appreciate him. He did participate and put together a lot of stuff for the show tonight. So big thanks to Trace, Mike. Off the top, not a fun story. Prayers up for former Knights tight end Jake Hescott. Collapsed while jogging in Boston. Had a cardiac emergency. He's currently in the hospital doing some battling right now. I know his family's posting some updates throughout the day. Haven't seen anything in a while, Mike, but man, I'm so sick of this bad news, man. We've had such a run of bad news for our Knights family. So prayers up to Jake Hescock and his family. I know everyone out there in Knight Nation is lifting Jake up, and hopefully we'll see him recover and in short order. But prayers up for Jake Hescock.
Puts things in perspective, right? You asked me how I'm doing after that game Saturday. You hear news like this, and it's like, who really cares about a football game? Hescock was a very good player for us, team guy. Loved watching him play. And then to hear that, I mean, a healthy kid going out for a jog in the morning and something like this happens breaks your heart. You really hope, he can pull through this thing. And you're right. There's been too much bad news, in the UCF family. We've suffered some big losses already in the last year. And hopefully this is not another one. And hopefully Jake will be back, healthy again very soon.
Yeah, keep those prayers coming for Jake. And I know if his family's listening or watching or hears this, you're in our thoughts, and we will continue to rally around Jake and hope he makes a recovery, Mike. No easy way to transition, so I will try to do so clumsily. This week, a lot of news off the field. Comings and goings, Mike. First off, they're back. John Rice Plumlee, quarterback, announces he will come back for his senior year. And on Thursday, Alec Holler announces he will come back for, I believe, is his Klubiala year, his 6th year as the Knights tight end, Mike. So 2 key guys on this season. I don't know if we got to where we got to without Alec Holler, obviously JRP being a quarterback, Mike. How big are these additions, or I guess these keeps for UCF right now?
Well, with all the losses we've had this past week, this is very big. Good news. Good players that contributed a lot this whole season. Alec Holler, we don't win a couple games without him. His blocking all season, the catch in Tampa, the last touchdown there, the Holler hop earlier in the year. I mean, he played had a lot of big plays all season. And Plumlee, the starting quarterback all year. And say what you want about him, he played well a lot of times this year. He's I guess penciled in to be the starter next year, right? Is that how?
Great question, Mike. That's what I was going to ask you. So what does this do, you think, to the quarterback position? Obviously, we saw Thomas Castellanos get some playing time and burn the red shirt. Now we know Mikey Keene obviously has moved on. We'll get to that in a second. Gus said he wanted 4 scholarship quarterbacks. JRP, Timmy McClain, don't forget, comes off the practice squad. And we have signee Dylan Risk from Cardinal Gibbons in Fort Lauderdale. That would be his 4, Mike. Are we setting ourselves up for another one of these offseason who the quarterback battle is?
Yes, because that's what we do every year. It doesn't matter who the quarterback was the year before, unless your name's Mackenzie Milton. Coming into the next season, there's going to be questions. And I think that's pretty much everywhere across the country, not just us. It's not something that's special here in Orlando, but everywhere there's always going to be a quarterback battle. The backup quarterback's always the most popular player. We saw that this year with Mikey Keene. At least we have a guy in Plumlee that's had a whole year now here. We've seen what he can do. We've seen a little bit of Tommy. We've seen Timmy against us with the Cows, and we see the talent that he has. So you have 3 guys there that have experience playing college football, which is good to have. And then you have a true freshman coming in. We don't know what to expect out of him, but you can't expect that he's going to see the field at all next year. Come in, learn the system. 4 guys on scholarship. I think that's pretty good.
All right, let's go the Suns chat all-stars here. Let us know in the chat who you think is the starting QB next year I'll throw some of those on the screen here in a little bit, Mike. But I think I'm actually required, if I do a podcast, to say the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. I think I have to say that. And it did for UCF. Obviously, 4 major players, obviously a couple other guys, 9 in total declared for the transfer portal. Probably the 4 biggest names, Mike, 4 guys who were starters or part-time starters: Devontae Brown, Ryan O'Keefe, Mikey Keene, Jeremiah John Baptiste. Again, I don't think these were really surprises to anybody if you've been kind of paying attention. The JP Gilbert body language experts out there, I think you've seen some signs that some of these kids were thinking about it. Mike, did any of these names surprise you, shock you, anything kind of got you scratching your head?
Well, we've known Mikey Keene was going to be transferring all season long. That doesn't surprise you. The other guys, I mean, we hear rumors about. You hear rumors and you tell me about them. So I wasn't surprised when I heard them. Maybe a little upset or just disappointed that they don't stick around. They have one more year to play. They want to stay here in Orlando. It would have been nice. But that's the way it is in 2022. People are going to come. They're going to hand them bags of money. They're going to tempt them to go other places. And these are young kids that who knows who's giving them advice. They're going to take the money if they can. And maybe they don't play in the NFL. Maybe this is their only chance to make a good amount of money for one season. That way, you can't really blame them.
Yeah, Mike, and Trace, Johnny on the spot as always with these polls, asked on his Twitter account, who's the biggest loss for the 2023 Knights? JJB with the 56% win on this one, Mike. That feels about right to me. And I think largely because of the position that he plays. Mike is blinding everybody in the audience tonight. I think largely because of the position he plays. Linebacker was an area of need for us last year. We certainly saw some opt-outs and some guys who didn't play. So I think that probably hurts the most, Mike. Do you agree with all of Trace Troco's Twitter followers that JJB is the biggest loss for the 23 Knights?
I know it's a position that, we don't feel like we have too much depth at with the linebacker, but I don't think he was the best linebacker on the team this year. Jason Johnson, obviously, I think had twice as many tackles as everybody else on the team. To me, Ryan O'Keefe.
You mean combined? He had twice as many as everybody else combined, yes.
Ryan O'Keefe has been a playmaker on this team for the last couple of years. Last season, probably the offensive MVP of the team. This year, again, over 700 yards receiving. I know a lot of that's on those shovel passes. I don't count that as receiving yards. But I mean, to me, I think he's the best player, most talented player on out of those 4 that we're losing out for next year.
All right, we'll see if anybody else hops in again. Some other guys have hopped in. Andrew Osteen, wide receiver Jordan Johnson have hopped in. Terrence Lewis hopped in as well, and a couple of guys from the secondary. So portal is continuing to churn. Like over 1,000 kids jumped in 2 days. It's a crazy number. It's going to be musical chairs. Somebody is not going to have a seat, Mike. Speaking of seats, I didn't want to sit down after that. You know what kicking we got at Tulane. 45-28 obviously ends our dream at American Conference Championship, ends our last opportunity to win the AAC title. And obviously we walk off the field with a tough loss, Mike. I know we talked a lot about this on the show this week, so I don't want to rehash all of that stuff. But here's what I want to ask you. 5 years from now, how will you remember this game? Will it be defense not showing up? Will it be an injured JRP trying to will us to victory? Will it be Mikey Keene not willing to come in and play? Will it be Gus burning Tommy's red shirt? 5 years from now, if you and I are still on this live show, which would be crazy, by the way, because I would need a break, what are you going to think or take away from this team?
From this game, yeah, it was the game that Tommy was forced to play because Mikey didn't want to play, basically. And you throw a true freshman in there. The offense didn't do anything for long enough stretches in this game where we couldn't hang with these guys. And, Plumlee, you got to give him credit for everybody that wants to talk badly about him. Toughed it out, came back in this game, got us back into the game. But the defense, I guess, is the big go to the game. They gave up those couple touchdowns late, long touchdowns, and we couldn't hang with them. Tulane was playing better than us. Let's be real about it. Since the last time we went into New Orleans, we beat them up pretty decently. After that game, the next 2 weeks, they played much better football than we did. They beat SMU soundly. They went into Cincinnati and beat a very good Cincinnati team to get the championship game. Meanwhile, we were lost at home to Navy, and we squeaked by the Cows on the road, a 1-10 team. So I think they deserve to win. I think they were playing the better football down the stretch, and we lost to a better team at home.
All right, first thing, I need a better name for our chat room here. The Suns Chat All-Stars just isn't cutting it, so somebody give me a potential name for our chat room here. But let us know in the chat what you think. What will you remember 5 years from now from that Tulane game? Will it be JRP? Will it be Mikey? Will it be the defense? Will it be Tommy burning his red shirt? Let us know what you think in the chat, Mike. By extension of this probably justified loss, UCF now goes where everybody was hoping they would go. a random Wednesday bowl on the 28th against Duke in the Military Bowl. Duke 8-4 in the year. Trace has them as -1 favorite right now. I'm not sure if that is still accurate, Mike, but we got Duke coming up here. I know you've done a lot of advanced scouting on the Blue Devils. I know you've been doing nothing but cutting up film. What are your thoughts on this matchup? A, who's going to play, I guess is question A, and then B, a nice ACC opponent as we take our last game before we step into the Big 12.
I know a lot about Duke only because in the very first episode of the season, that was one of the picks of the week. They were playing Temple, and I had them covering like 15 points, 20 points, and they shut Temple out. But we saw how bad Temple was this year. I think they beat them 30-0. Other than that, I know nothing about Duke. I haven't watched them play all year. I don't know who they have on their team that's transferring out or sitting out, going to the draft, who's injured. None of that stuff. You got to bring Andy on. He's probably got all the breakdown of what they've done all year. But a 1-point game, that tells you that Vegas thinks it's a pick 'em. Basically, anybody can win this game. There's really no home field advantage, though. I think they're going to have a bigger home crowd than we are. I think we've sold less than 1,000 tickets on our end. Playing at the stadium that Navy plays their home games, I expect it to probably be a half-empty stadium or half full, I guess, depending on how you want to say it. But mostly Duke fans, and who knows who's playing for us? So, is JRP gonna be healthy?
I don't think JPP is playing.
JRP is gonna be healthy. He's gonna play. Is Tommy gonna get some run? Are we gonna use this to be kind of like an exhibition scrimmage game to get some guys playing time for next year? It's going to be interesting to see how Gus handles the whole thing.
Well, he was asked at his press conference, Mike, after that title game on Saturday, what he thought about going to a bowl game and how important that was. Let's hear what he said.
It's been, I'll say this. I mean, bowl games are very important, okay, just like it was last year. So we'll put everything we can into getting a bowl victory.
All right, so Gus is saying we want to get a bowl victory, Mike. He's saying that we're going to put everything we can. I wasn't super convinced on that. Were you convinced that Gus is really excited about this game?
No, but what's he going to say? No, we don't care if we win or not. Every coach is obviously going to say, and you do want to end the season on a positive note. You don't want to end the season on that game in Tulane, right? Giving up 45 points, losing. You want to end the season with a win, give yourself some momentum going into the spring, all that. But really, it's about this next couple of weeks, getting the young guys more reps in practice. Guys that have been on the practice squad, guys that have been playing with the third team. Now you get them maybe some first team reps and develop for next season. That's all what it's all about.
In a scary twist of fate, what if Gus Malzahn handed you the visor and you were making the decision? Who are you going to start at QB?
I mean, to me, with all the injuries that JRP has had all season long, and if I don't really care if we win or lose this game, because let's face it, what was the score when we played NC State in 2014? What was the Rutgers score? And how did that really affect the teams going forward the next couple of years? We lost those games. You go to the bowl game, you forget about it afterwards, and who really cares? I would start Tommy. He already burned his red shirt. Get him some more playing time. You may need him down, if he's not going to be the starter next year. At least you have a backup that's played in a couple of games now and played against an ACC team. Get him some more reps. I'd go with Tommy. I'd let him see what he can do.
Dolly Drama with a question. Timmy McClain is not eligible to play in this game. He still has to sit out this one. So, unfortunately, bowl games still count against red shirts, which is certainly a weird quirk, Mike. We are awaiting Titus Davis. I think he's efforting to join us here on the show, Mike. I know a lot of the chatter obviously post this game, and I was surprised it got picked up nationally. And you and I talked about it on the show a little bit, Mike, the Mikey Keene situation. Obviously, we all kind of heard the situation. He decided to opt out of playing in that game, traveled with the team on the sidelines. He was featured prominently on the broadcast, mentioned several times about him not playing, and obviously ends up in the portal. How will you remember Mikey Keene 5 years from now? Again, I'm taking you in the future machine here, Mike. 5 years from now, Mikey Keene's name comes back up. What are your first thoughts going to be?
I mean, we're always going to have that game against the Gators, right? That was a big game last year, in a big bowl game, bragging rights for the state. He came in as a true freshman. You didn't expect him to play that whole year. We were hoping it was Dylan Gabriel's season. Came in unexpectedly, won some good games for us, won that bowl game. I wanted him to start this year, coming into the year. Even during the season, I thought he earned the starting job, the way he came in against Cincinnati, the way he played against Memphis. I mean, he comes in against the Cows and throws the game-winning touchdown. I thought he did a very good job all season. I just think the way it happened here at the end, not playing the championship game, taints it a little bit. But overall, decent 2 years for Mikey Keene. He's a good quarterback for us. Not a great quarterback, not a record-setting quarterback. He's not going to be up there in the Mount Rushmore. He's not up there with McKenzie or Dante or Schneider or any of these guys. He's going to be a middle-of-the-road quarterback that we've had, like a Kyle Israel, like a Brett Hodges that was here for a year, something like that in that class.
Well, Mike, let's bring in a guy who knows a little something about being a great Knight and knows a little something about winning AAC championships because he captured 2 of them. It is former Knights linebacker Titus Davis joins us on the show. Titus, first off, man, thanks for taking some time to join us, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How y'all doing, man? Good to hear y'all. Good to see y'all. Good to be here, man.
We are doing well, Titus, and let's start here. I know you had a chance to watch this team a little bit throughout the season, and I know you had a chance to watch the game against Tulane. As a fan, as an alum, as a former player, man, what were your thoughts and emotions watching that game against Tulane last Saturday?
To be honest, man, I felt like our defense could have did a lot better. Honestly, they didn't play well to me at all. I mean, they gave up a lot of points. They didn't have a lot of stops. And in a championship game, you're going to need turnovers. So to be honest, man, it was just a little lousy.
I guess we'll never know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, like I said, man, a little lousy play. Guys were playing lazy. And to be honest, man, it just it wasn't the best game for us defensively. Like I said, it could have been better.
So Titus is having some
defense. So, our receivers got beat deep.
Titus is doing a walk and talk right now.
Give me one second.
Yeah, man, take your time. You gotta be quiet.
What's up? I'm sorry, guys. All right, yeah, like I said, man, lousy play as far as defensive line wise. We had a few sacks, but we didn't get enough pressure. Got beat deep, not physical at all as far as DBs. And yeah, man, it just sucks to see, man. The energy was down. Those guys that from Tulane played with a lot more energy than we did. Man, it just sucks to see though, man. And it looks like the guys weren't enthused a lot as far as being out there and playing with all their might and playing like it was a championship game. It was more lousy and lazy. I'm sad to say it like that. You know, I'm a big fan of those guys too. Like I love those guys at the school right now, but it was a lousy sight to see, man.
Well, Titus, if you were on that team, if you were on the field that day and you saw your teammates playing that way, what would you have said? What would Titus Davis have done if you were in that game?
So, man, honestly, I just would have picked up my play first. You know what I mean? Like I would have done all I could, and then I would have been vocal as I always was, as far as letting the guys know where we were, where we stand, what was on the line, and how we could do better and be better as a team in that moment. I mean, it wasn't too much that could have been said, but the tempo, the energy, somebody should have brought more energy and should have been a spokesperson for the team. And at that time, it just seems like everybody was lazy, down. I didn't see nobody into it, or like the linebackers. They didn't get engaged with the DBs or the D line. And like I said, man, if it was me, I don't like to say if, but if it was me, man, I would have had a talk with my defense, man, and see. I would have saw if we could fix the problem.
Titus, you had some strong words this couple days ago about the transfer portal. All these guys jumping in the portal the other day after the season. You're not even that old school of a guy. You graduated in 18, and you're not like old guys like us that had no transfers, all that stuff. What are your real feelings about these guys leaving after the season like this?
So personally, man, it just tears up the charisma of the team, man. And going through 3 coaches, it was always option for guys on our team to leave, but they never did. And I think it was partly because of the locker room, the relationship that we had as players, as a team, and as far as the transfer portal goes, it's like, man, you're going to another team to start all over again, because these coaches still have a job to recruit. They still have a job to win games. And yeah, you guys are seasoned, but at the same time, they're gonna try out the guys that they already have there, and you're going there saying that you're better than someone. You have to prove it. And I don't see why you would leave a team that's on the rise. Just went to a championship, just had a pretty good season, and then is going to the Big 12 next year. To the Big 12 next year, and it's just like, man, like where does your loyalty lie, and what do you really stand for as a player, man? Like, are you just in it just to get likes or for the fans, or did you really sign to a school? Did you sign to a coach, or did you sign to a school, man? It's I don't know, man. For me, it was never an option to leave UCF because of the guys that came before me, like the guys that were there while I was a freshman that I looked up to, man. They showed me the way. They had, before I got there, they won championships, so they knew the way to get back to a championship. So for me, it was more of, look at what we have here, look at what the history is here, and look where we can go with this.
What about the whole Mikey Keene situation? I mean, he only plays in 4 games. He's saving his red shirt, but we're in a championship game. Can you understand that? Do you think it's a business decision? Do you get where he's coming from, or do you say, hey, you got to put the team in front of your own personal benefits?
So when it comes to Mikey King, man, I feel like he has a reason for his leaving, man. Like, so the whole year we rumbled around with our quarterback. We really didn't have a starting quarterback, and I hated that for our team, man, because your foundation kind of comes from that quarterback position, man. And when it's always shaky, when you got a starter here, you got a number 13 in this week, or you got a number 10 in this week, it's kind of a bad situation, man. And I think that Mikey King, he has a great arm. I feel like he could play. He could go somewhere else and play well, but I think that he has to make that solid stand as a leader to become a starter somewhere else as well. And I don't think at UCF he made that decision, and he made that choice to be a solid leader. And I can't say if he even had that chance to be a solid leader, because it was always a hassle and a hat in the air, a toss up in the air to see if he would be that solid leader for our team.
Titus, what are your thoughts on NIL? Obviously, NIL landscape is changing college football. The schools are doling out money for kids to come there. There's supposed to be endorsement deals, but obviously it just feels like it's recruitment money. What are your overall thoughts on NIL, and do you think it's good for college football?
I would say yeah, because I'm a former player, man. I actually wanted to use my likeness to gain money, to get money, man. And I feel like, man, if you are that guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not be paid for your talents? And to be honest, it sucks. I'm kind of on both sides, because yeah, the money is a distraction and it takes away from actually putting your best foot forward and working towards something and grinding towards something weekly. But I do feel like it should be a part of it's okay with me if that's what you want me to say. Yeah, it's okay with me, but it takes a mature guy to be focused on what he's focused on.
So I want to go back to your 2018 season. Obviously, Josh Heupel's first year, offensive coordinator. That offense moved really, really fast, right? Either 3 and out in 40 seconds or a scoring drive in 2 minutes. As a defense, was that tough to play in that system? Just being the fact that you guys had to get on the field so quickly and you spent so much time on the field because of the offense.
Okay, so I wouldn't say it was tough to play in that system, but sometimes, like, all right, so those guys would score a lot, and then you gotta check it out that we played and practiced against it through camp, through spring practice, then comes camp. We were prepared to play against anyone else because no one else moved that fast, and being that it's so hot in Florida, we were prepared, man. Like I can't say that we weren't prepared for any opponent that we went up against, but it did become sometimes where those guys would go out there and go 3 and out quick, you know what I mean? And we back on the field, but I think that we were more in shape and more conditioned to take on those obstacles. So yeah, when it came to Josh Heupel and playing in that system, it was and I would say I would go back to Frost because Frost actually started that fast paced offense at UCF, and like I said, man, we were prepared for it, man. That we practiced against it every day. Like we used to have this thing called 10 perfect plays, right? And where it would be, we would go 10 plays back to back, whether they scored or not. And the 10 plays would be more of if those guys go deep, those receivers would run off the field, and those corners would have to come back and stay in. And it was kind of a disadvantage, but at the same time, it helped build us for those times and those obstacles that we went through during the season.
I think you had your best game ever was the Cincinnati game, right? The college game day game. 3 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble. Was that the best day of your life?
Definitely, man. It was on TV. It was senior night, man. I got to walk out with my parents. It was a great time. Honestly, man. I can't even complain. So that was one of my highlights of my career, and I never knew it would go that way. I didn't know that that I would play that well that night, but God is good, man. I enjoyed it. I balled out. Shoot, we won that game big, and we went on to win the championship that year. So yes, man, that was a great game for me and also for the Knights fans, being that we were at home.
There's a saying that a lot of fans use: once a night, always a night. Now, you guys going to come back. Yeah, I mean, it's only been a couple years for you, but I'm sure you guys meet up for a game or two every year. You're going to start seeing these guys from this year's team, the last year's team, all these transfer guys that come back. When you guys are hanging out, do you think of them as always a night? Because they're going to different schools now. Is it the same thing?
I think so. I would say so. Because they went through what I went through, you know what I mean? And as far as playing wise, man, it's a heck of a time here in Orlando, and also just playing at UCF, man. It's tough to play in these conditions. Like I said, man, these guys did work. They did go to the championship this year. They did put in the work to get there. But I don't like the fact that it's a cop-out to just go and run to another team if things not working out for you. I think it builds more character to stay at the school and to work it out, man. So I would say they're still a Knight. I would say they're still a Knight at heart.
All right, Titus, we'll get you out of here. We got some rapid fire questions for you. This could be about music, movies, sports, anything on the world. So my first one for you is, where the hell are you? You've got like the biggest house on earth. Are you in some sort of a mausoleum? Where the hell are you?
Well, I'm in Orlando. I would keep that classified where I am exactly, but I am in Orlando, and I am at a nice house.
Okay. All right, Titus Davis, not giving up the goods.
I'm sorry about that, but yeah, definite.
All right, Christmas season's coming up. You played for 3 different coaches: George O'Leary, Frost, Heupel. You got to get them each a Christmas gift. What are you getting them?
If it was all right, I'll start with Coach O'Leary. I would get him a Rolex watch. This is very big time. Just hear me out. And I would make sure that he puts it on face down. He always wore his watches face down, and it was always a mystery to me on why he did it. But it was always cool to me, and now I actually wear my watches face down. So, so it was something for me to take that up from Coach O'Leary. I think that was cool. Never seen anybody do it, but I would do that for him just because he gave me the opportunity to come play at UCF, and that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. So that's for him. For Coach Frost, my man. Let's see.
That O'Leary watch has to be set 5 minutes early, right? Or 10 minutes early?
15, 30, probably definite 15. I'll give that. That was the most prominent thing that he kept going as far as when we were playing. The 15 minutes before meetings I don't even think you guys know this, but the day before a game, we're getting ready to travel to the hotel, get ourselves together for the next day, the game. We would have to be everywhere an hour early, and he would start the meeting whenever he walked in, which was it was so crazy. And I remember like my freshman year being late, but I was on time. The craziest thing ever. I showed up early, but the guys were already on the field. I was kind of late coming from my room or something like that. It was a UConn game. And I know you guys know we went on 12 my freshman year, but I showed up and they were already on the field. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still 30 minutes early though from the time on the itinerary. Boom. He sends me home, man. That was like one of the worst things that ever happened to me at UCF, and it hurt so bad because it was like, dang, I'm actually on time. But man, I hate it. I hated that. I hated that about it. But I mean, it actually was a great thing to learn from him and take from him, to be honest.
All right, Titus, I know you got a lot going on, so we'll get you out of here in this last question. If you had to pick one of your teammates from either 2017 or 2018 that had to participate in Dancing with the Stars, who do you think would make the best contestant on Dancing with the Stars?
It's easy to say Neville Clark, man. That was the best dancer we had on our team, man. Every time something went on, every time music came on, my man bust out doing his dance, man, and he was smooth with it. I think he has some of the best feet I've ever seen, and best hips and ankles and everything. It's just crazy how the man makes his body move. And I would definitely give it to Neville Clark.
All right, I lied. One more question for you. Who is the best linebacker in UCF history?
Ooh, y'all trying to get me. Dang. See, if I say a name, I feel like it'll come back to haunt me. But if I don't say myself, I would feel slighted after the day's work. But to be honest, can I narrow it down?
Yeah, you can give me a top three. I'll go top three.
Let me give you my top three. I would say TP, Terrence Plummer.
Yep.
Great linebacker. Definitely Shaquem Griffin. Whew, hell of a player. And Titus Davis. Boom, there it is.
That is a pretty impressive big three by Titus Davis, man. We appreciate you hopping in and having some fun with us, man. Good luck on the mystery tour that you're on. Hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with you soon, man. Appreciate you hopping in.
Of course, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, man. Y'all have a good one, all right?
All right, go Knights. Titus Davis from parts unknown, Mike. The first mystery location I think we've ever had on the show.
And the most rooms ever. He did a walk and talk for, what was it, 20 minutes you were talking to
He
him?
did. I think Robert counted 17 different rooms. I don't know if that's true. I wasn't counting along, but certainly a lot of rooms, Mike. And it's interesting to hear Titus's perspective. You nailed it on the head. He's obviously, a recent graduate, right? And him kind of seeing what he saw out of the team this year, certainly was interesting perspective. So always appreciate Titus for hopping in, man. He's a great night. And we're glad to have him, Mike. We got a special segment coming up here, but let's roll through some of this around the kingdom stuff, Mike. I don't know if you know this or not, but the men's hoop team won a game the other day. They beat Samford in overtime, not Stanford. They play at Tarleton State on Sunday, and Wednesday they play at Ole Miss, Mike. Taylor Hendricks was the AAC Freshman of the Year. Get used to hearing me say that, Mike. But maybe the most exciting thing out of that game was a question that CJ Kelly was asked post-game. Mike, I know you can relate to this one specifically. Here was CJ talking about being a student.
It sucks. I got two today, so it's just like I want to go to sleep, get some rest, something to eat. I got 2 finals to study for, so the life of a student athlete.
I need a follow up to see how CJ did in those exams, Mike. But the basketball team off to a decent start. Obviously, a big game coming up next week against Ole Miss. The women's hoop team obviously had a bit of a struggle. They had a nail biter. They lose to Auburn 86-46 Sunday at Seton Hall, and then Wednesday, Mike, visiting our old friend Danny White at Tennessee. That should be a fun one, Mike. In volleyball, curious your thoughts on this. The Lady Knights go up to the tournament. They sweep Yale in round 1, fall to Penn State in essentially the second game to get out of that bracket. They end the season 27 and 2 essentially, and season's over. Mike, I know you're one. Give me the championships. And another year, another chip missed by the volleyball team, but. McKenna Melville will get used to this as well. She was the Southeast Region Player of the Year. I think that's they should just rename the trophy after her, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, they got to the same spot they got to last year, right? Good season, good team. Now we'll see how they're going to do without Melville, the greatest player ever. Next year's team, I think that's the true test to see where this program is heading.
Well, we will. I know you'll be watching that closely, Mike. And if there's any hot seats that need to be fired up, I know you will be there, Mike. The Brian W. Peterson mailbag is absolutely jam packed this week. There's like 30 something questions in this mailbag, Mike. So let's get this thing kicked off because we got a lot of ground to cover. But we cannot do that, of course, without this.
It's that time again. Let's open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
The Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag. Mike, a little behind the scenes here at the Sons of UCF. When Trace is not here, we get to play around a little bit. Your boy here, I got a flu, man. This is Jordan flu game for me, so I'm sick of talking. So I figured who better to bring in to answer some of these questions from the Brian W. Peterson mailbag than Brian W. Peterson himself.
Yes!
Peterson is here. But I've got an interesting twist, Brian. I don't know if you can see this, but a friend has also joined to help answer some questions. Welcome in UCF XOS Andy, who was here to answer questions as well. Wow. So y'all know each other? Have y'all met? I don't know.
No, this is actually the first time.
This is the first time. Yeah, I've never spoken to Andy ever.
You guys seem to make nice on Twitter a lot, Brian. You don't seem to like Andy's breakdown of previous games. Andy, you seem to like antagonizing Brian. Are you guys gonna be okay? Do I need Mike to separate you?
You might want to separate our little video boxes, just to.
I would, but Mike has it in his contract that he's always top right. It's like Hollywood Squares. He's always center square. He's a diva. I cannot work on that. All right, we got a ton of mailbag questions. First one from our friend Dolly Drama. Does the fact that the title game doesn't sing so bad, is that a testament to us already kind of dying 1,000 deaths throughout the season? Andy, your thoughts on the sting maybe being taken out of that Tulane game?
I thought last week was a bye week, so yeah, we're all right.
All right, Brian, how about you? Any sting? I know you were there. You got your happy ass in a car 13 hours and drove out there. Something has to sting on you.
We were excited driving out there. The drive home, not so exciting. But I think the fact that we made it to the championship was something to be, pat ourselves on the back about. That probably helped a little bit.
Mike, also from Dolly, he wants to know, going into next year, have we enhanced, regressed, or are we just plain flatlined?
Oh, I mean, the last 2 seasons have pretty much been mirror images of each other, right? We haven't really won any games we weren't supposed to win, but we've lost a couple games that we weren't supposed to with the 2 Navy games. I don't know, man. Next year's going to be a lot tougher test, too, with going into the Big 12. hopefully we don't take too many steps back.
All right, this one comes from, look at this, Brian W. Peterson. So I will not let you answer this, Andy. This one's for you. Did we overachieve last year, or did we underachieve this year?
I think I would say last year, I think we actually kind of hit right on par. This year, I actually kind of feel like when you watch the season unfold, we actually kind of overachieved, to be honest with you. I think we overhyped it leading into the season. We were saying certain position groups were going to be the best ever at UCF. So, yeah, I think just kind of realizing where we were about the midway point, I think it actually finished pretty good making it to the conference championship.
Mike, via 2 letters, 2 words, did Gus mismanage this QB situation in 2022, or was it just an unfortunate confluence of bad luck?
Yeah, all season we said he didn't really know what he was doing, but if you look at it, he's named Plumlee his starter. He stuck with that throughout the whole year, unless he was injured. Then he went with Mikey. A lot of people in the preseason told you Mikey won the job and didn't get a fair shake, and I guess that's why we are where we were. I don't know. I think he did mismanage it a little bit.
Well said, Mike. I know Andy has some thoughts on that. We'll get to that in a later show. Brian, any portal surprises for you so far?
I don't think we're surprised by the names that popped out. I mean, some of them certainly hurt more than others. It's tough to. The question earlier, the big question that Trace had out there was, who hurts the most? I think JJB. I've got to agree with that one. Ryan O'Keefe, that's another tough one that hurts. He'll always have that iconic moment in the Gasparilla Bowl, throwing up the deuces like Otis did. But I'm not surprised that we've heard any of the names that we've heard come out so far.
These questions all come courtesy of UCF Biggie. He's got 4 on here. His next one, he wants an update on our preseason Sundays, Biggie. We're going to get to that in a future show, so we're going to tease that. Sit tight. Andy, why don't you grab this one from UCF Biggie? What do you attribute the defense not being as successful the last month of the season? Was it us playing better competition? Was it injuries, coaching, scheme, people not maybe focused? What do you attribute the defense's decline the last half of the season?
Some of it, I would say, is got to be – some of it's just got to be on the players, right? I mean, Navy, we played really well. Cincinnati was one of the best games we played defensively in 5 years. Memphis wasn't terrible. So I think you just kind of get into that situation where all of a sudden you get USF and Tulane back-to-back, and I think that kind of mars what they did all season long, especially being such a good red zone team throughout the year for the most part. So I think it was honestly some execution issues. Maybe they're a little bit beat up after Navy, but yeah, it was just kind of I don't know. It fell apart, especially knowing that we could have contained Tulane earlier.
All right, Mike, knowing, again, from UCF Biggie, paying by the word here, do you know that JRP is coming back? Yes, you do. And if you do know that, does that, you think, impact our ability to get elite receivers to transfer here, knowing that JRP, not the next coming Patrick Mahomes?
Well, it looks like we already have our top 2 receivers coming back with Baker and Hudson. So you really need a compliment to those guys. I'd like to see a taller receiver. Who's this kid out of FIU? I think they're recruiting pretty strongly. I don't know if we're going to see a top, like the top 3 transfer wide receivers. I don't think we can afford to get a top 3 guy at any position. So we're going to get the guy that best suits our situation.
All right, here we go, Brian. From Rock Solid Dennis, which is a fantastic screen name, by the way. He wants to start an early debate with JRP returning, with Timmy and Dylan and Tommy. Will we have more QB drama in 2023 than we did in 2022?
I don't think so. I think that Gus has made it pretty clear that JRP is his guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting. The question I have is not who's going to be the starter. It's, does JRP get the benefit of a second-year jump, just like we see freshmen make that jump into their second year? Because he's returning to quarterback from wide receiver, do we get that McKenzie second-year bump when he comes back next year?
Brian, I asked the questions around here. Andy, I want you to tackle that one. Do you think we're going to have more drama in 23 with the quarterbacks?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we have more names that we know now at this point, right? Everybody knows what the baseline is for – at least 2 of the quarterbacks, right? We've seen Timmy play. We've seen JRP play. The bowl game, I would think, honestly, Tommy has to get more snaps in. Just he's the healthier quarterback. So, yeah, I definitely think that we're going to have some drama. I think the one hard thing probably to evaluate when you're talking spring and fall camp, they're non-contact on the quarterback. So that's the issue is that, what JRP does best, scrambling and running, he might not look as good in shorts, but then obviously when the actual game's going on, you're trying to, you're full contact. That's what he does. He runs. So I think that might be why certain media have said, hey, so-and-so was better in camp. Well, it's like, yeah, you can't get hit.
Are we talking about shorts, Mike? Did Andy drop a shorts reference? Is this a fashion show? From at Golden Knights _2. It's early. You are my prognosticator, Mike. What is our odds of winning the bowl game, given that maybe 30% or more of our production is out?
Yeah, I got to know more about how many guys Duke is missing. Andy, have you broken down the Duke defense and all that stuff? It's a 1-point game. It's a toss-up game. So anything can happen in these things. Who knows? I give us a decent chance, 50-50.
I guess I have to let Mike ask questions. He kind of hosts this thing. Andy, have you broken down the Duke game yet?
No, I did look at common opponent, though. I looked at Temple. Duke's offense looks very similar to ours, a lot of RPO. So I think at least defensively, it shouldn't be too hard to plan for.
Brian, this is from Eric L. Soberg. Wake Forest was the early rumor for our bowl game. Obviously, we get Duke. Who would you have rather played, Wake Forest or Duke?
I think I would rather us play Wake Forest. That's for twofold. One, I don't trust the quarterback for Duke. I think he's pretty good, like Andy alluded to. He throws quite a bit.
Then you do trust him, actually.
I do,
okay.
From time to time.
Okay.
But I've got a good friend of mine who went to Duke. So if we lose this game, it is going to be bragging rights all over UCF for the next however many years until we play them again. And I'm still dealing with the basketball law, so.
Yeah, it's a tough break for you. I need somebody in the Suns smart ass chat here. What should Brian's bet with his friend be for the UCF Duke game? I need a bet, Brian, that you can execute with your friend. So you can't decide this, of course. We'll let the smart ass chat guys figure this one out for us. Mike, let's go to you, Sir Fallen Merc 7. How much of a challenge is this 8-4 Duke team?
They're a big challenge. I mean, look at the losses they've lost. Their 4 losses have all only been by 1 score. I think their largest loss was by about 6 or 7 points. I know the ACC is not that good, but they're a pretty good team. I don't expect us to go in there and blow these guys out. I think it's going to be a close game.
Andy, Grahalis Debbie wants to know, which young player do you think breaks out in the bowl game?
I would think Cam Moore, right? I would think that he's going to get a lot of meaningful minutes now that JJB's not there. Tulane, round 1, he had a great game. He was kind of flying around the field, and I kind of thought, honestly, later on in the year that he might have had a better opportunity to keep, to keep playing, but instead he kind of came off the field. So I would say Cam Moore probably.
Brian Devin has got a great answer. Are you willing to wager your namesake, the mailbag, in this game? If you lose, your friend gets naming rights. He's stoic. He's so confused. Oh, here we go. Brian, are you willing to wager your mailbag namesake with your friend?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I had to work really hard to get that mailbag named after me, and I'm not too confident in our chances of the bowl game. I guess so. I mean,
okay.
If you're okay naming it the Duke mailbag or something along those lines.
I assume your friend's name isn't Duke, right? He has an actual name?
No. A Blue Devils mailbag. His name is Mike.
Okay.
Coincidentally.
Okay. Everybody's named Mike around here. Marty Helwig wants to know, does the bowl game count towards the 4 games to maintain a red shirt? Yes, it does, which means Timmy McClain will not play. Mike, let's go to you. Spursy Knight wants to know, thoughts on the college football silly season with these new transfer portal rules? It kind of has an NBA free agency, trade deadline kind of feel to it, Mike. What are your thoughts on silly season, as Ross calls it?
Yeah, I just want it to be over. Just let me know who's on the team. Like that guy, whoever said, just wake me up in August and I'll deal with it then. I don't want to go through this every single day. This guy's coming back. This guy's not. There's too much of it. So I don't like it at all.
Let's go to Andy. This is from Devin Swage. What position group do you think needs the most attention in the transfer portal / recruiting?
The position group that I would hope improves the most, I would say, is offensive line. But finding offensive linemen is very challenging. A lot of the times you kind of need at least a year or 2 to even bulk up and to get to the size and speed where you need them. I would think the most immediate impact is going to be defensive back and wide receiver. The further away from the ball, a little bit easier it is to get onto the field early. But I would hope that right now O-line is probably the main priority.
Mike, how about you? What position group do you think we need to target?
Yeah, I was going to say O-line too. Moving up to the Big 12, I mean, that's the difference in playing these Power 5 teams is the offensive and defensive line. So you want to say the defensive line too. because we've always been fine with the skill position guys. So give me offensive line.
Let's go to Brian at Diana Mims Reed. If you could change one thing about the transfer portal, Brian, what would it be? She would like to change the date. She wants it after the bowl game. If Brian W. Peterson became the commissioner of college football, which would be pretty rad, by the way, if you did that, Brian. What would you change about? Yeah, let's get the campaign going here. What would you change about the portal?
I'd like to see the portal period shortened. So, people get in the portal and then the portal period comes out, so we know who's going to be on what team. Let's get our coaches and our team set a little bit quicker. I don't know that changing it before the bowl game would change anything, because those, guys that have made up their mind already, they're going to be in the portal once the season ends. They're just going to either not play or give it a half-assed job. So I think shortening it would be better.
All right, this feels like a good leading.
Portal.
Oh, all right. I'll hook him in, Mike.
You enter your name, but you don't get to decide where you go. You get drafted. You have a college football draft. Everybody can enter the portal. You can leave the team you're on, and then the rest of the teams draft whoever's in the portal.
Wow, all right. Let's stay with you, UCF Mike. I feel like this is a hot take setup question for you from Scott, UCF 15. What are your thoughts on some of the UCF defensive players potentially letting off the gas at USF at Tulane, knowing one foot was already out the door?
I can't believe that's what happened. I hope that's not what happened. These guys are playing for a championship, the trophy. Everything's on the line. I can't think that they're thinking about – they may know that they're going to transfer, but I can't think that that's having an effect on that game. I hope not.
Brian, what are your thoughts? Do you think that you were at the game? Do you think there was any let up the last couple of games on the defense?
I don't think so. I think it was just maybe a lack of energy that day that caught them, and Tulane game plan for us. They say it's tough to win against the same team twice in the same season. I think it was just not our day, and Tulane had our number.
Andy, here we go for you at M_Amon UCF. What's the latest with the coaching staff changes? Is there anybody in the running for a spot? Hint, is it you, Andy?
Not that I know of. I think everybody was kind of hinting towards some of the defensive coaches maybe going elsewhere, and now all of a sudden I see them on the recruiting trail. I see all these pictures out there, so I kind of doubt that. At least right now. I don't know if they'd be recruiting as hard if they thought that they were moving on to greener pastures.
Have you submitted your application?
There might be one locally. There might be one.
I don't know, but
ridiculous.
There we go. Ridiculous it is. All right, I don't know how to pronounce this name, so I apologize. But Mike, this is coming to you at LIMU Mark 407. The Big 12 football schedule will be announced 1 week from today. What is your dream schedule for Bounce House 23, Mike?
The dream schedule, which is never going to happen, by the way. Give me Texas, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia at home. How's that? And
Okay.
even if you have, we're going to have 5 away games, I think, because we're going to play 9 conference games. Let's go on the road to Baylor, TCU, Kansas State, Cincinnati, and Houston. You like those?
Brian W. Peterson just likes to make things complicated and switch around the boxes on us here.
Yeah, sorry.
Andy, what is your dream schedule for 23?
Honestly, I think the hardest places that you could go play is probably Norman, probably at Austin, and then going to Iowa State, going to Ames. So ideally, you have those home games. Everything else is kind of doesn't really matter, I don't think. But just those 3, I think, would be very tough environments to go on the road.
Well, looky here at UCF XOS wants to know, outside of the bowl game, do you think 2022 was harder than 2017? Brian W. Peterson, your thoughts, please.
Absolutely. I think 2017 in our conference at least was a little more balanced. Tulane was good, Cincinnati was good. I think in 2017 we pretty much had our run of the conference.
Mike, what about you? I know Andy has his thoughts. I think if you've watched Twitter, I think you know what those are. Was 2017 or 2022 harder, Mike?
I think 17 was harder. Think of the out-of-conference games. We had to go on the road to Maryland. This year we had Louisville and Georgia Tech at home. And I think the Memphis teams and the Cal team in 17 were better than the Cincinnati and Tulane teams that we played this year.
All right, Mike, I'll stay with you. This is at by C.A. Simmons. Best non-space uniform combo of 2022.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
I don't get. Which uniform actually I thought looked pretty good was the Cincinnati game with just black and the gold numbers. I like that. everybody that talks about the uniforms. I didn't really care for the all white. It was too plain. There was nothing on the shoulders. It kind of just looked like a T-shirt. I don't know, but I kind of did like the Cincinnati game one.
Brian, you're wearing a Space U shirt, so I have to ask you, what is your best? Oh, Brian's gone. Brian's back. What is your best 2022 uniform combo? I'll never know. Andy, what was your best 2022 uniform combo?
Honestly, I don't know. I remember the plays. I actually don't remember what the uniforms look like. So I only ever remember the space uniform.
Night mode.
Night mode for Brian. All right, Brian, let's stay with you. This is from Always UCF Night. Thoughts on buying player merchandise with the transfer portal happening so much? Says that not sure if they want to buy merchandise with players' names because they may be gone within a year. Brian, what's your stance on buying player merch? This guy. I mean,
Are you Wi-Fi, Bill? What are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. He spent all his money on that Tulane trip, I guess, the Wi-Fi.
I did, yeah. I couldn't pay my internet bill, apparently.
Jeez. I know
Brian, your thoughts on buying player merch with the transfer portal era upon us?
I don't have a problem with it. Players are here. I haven't bought any player merch, I'll be completely honest. You run that risk if you buy it, but, some guys are here and get their money.
All right, Andy, I know you became a huge volleyball fan randomly at the end of the year. So our good friend Eric Lopez Elo wants to know who had the more successful season, volleyball or women's soccer?
To me, I think it was volleyball. They play a longer season. They avenged their one regular season loss that they had, and ultimately, win the conference, win conference player of the year, all these other accolades. I just think it was volleyball as a whole. Soccer, it ended up being I think regular season champs, but they lost the conference championship tournament. So
they did win a first round game though in the NCAA tournament, Andy, something that the volleyball team did not do.
They won the first round.
They won the first game. They didn't get out of that little bracket seeding situation. UCF actually advanced on PKs against North Carolina State. Start it out there. All right, Mike, here you go. Rejoice Nice wants to know, what's your guilty pleasure during the holiday season? God, I hate the thought of you answering this question, but people are looking at you.
I don't like the holiday season. There's too much responsibility. There's too many things to do. If you see my garage right now where I'm surrounded, it's a disaster. I had to go in the attic the other day, get all this stuff down. I had to put the tree up. I got to hang the lights. Then I got to buy gifts for everybody. It's like everybody's birthday at the same exact time. I'm going to go broke. It's too many things. I got to be at this guy's house, at this person's party to go to. I just want it to be over. I don't care anything about the holiday season. Bah humbug.
Awesome. Andy, do you have any guilty holiday pleasures?
My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. Honestly, there's football, there's no gifts. You eat, you drink, and I don't know. I think Thanksgiving's kind of the perfect holiday. It falls in the perfect time of the year. Christmas is, it's at the end of the year. There's so much other stuff going on. So I don't know. It's tough.
All right. Mike and Andy seem to be separated at birth. Brian, can you save us with any holiday cheer?
I'm all about the Reese's Christmas tree cups. I love those.
Okay. That's a fine guilty. You're really testing Mike off, Brian. At Mark Moses Show, Mike, did Trace enter the transfer portal yet?
I don't see him here tonight, so maybe he did. And if he did, good luck to him. I mean, once a son, always a son, maybe. Once a son, that's it. Once a son. He was once a son.
He transferred once already. He's got to sit out, though, Mike. I don't think he's getting a waiver. I don't think he's in grad school. He may have to sit out a full podcast year.
We have a couple of nice replacements. Either one of these guys can step in and do the job, I think.
These two? Okay. Brian Manny wants to know, does Trace get a COVID year? And if you had to entice him with an NIL bag, what would you entice Trace with?
Okay, yeah, he definitely gets that COVID year. And if I'm giving him an NIL bag, it's got to be Jell-O shots, right? That's the only thing that's bringing him back.
Yeah, I think close second would be pudding shots. I think those would be the two possible options for Trey Strelko. Hey, great news. That's the last question on today's extra long, supersized mailbag. And be sure to follow along everything we're doing social media. Go to our website, twonatesmedia.com. We've got two people doing some articles for us. Leo and John are writing some basketball stuff. Check all that stuff out. And make sure that you subscribe. Trace wants to do 5-star reviews for some stuff for Colton Boomer. We got some Colton Boomer merch. Apparently, Brian W. Peterson does not want this. But if somebody else out there does, leave us a 5-star review on a podcast platform, whatever you want to do, or give us a new subscription to YouTube. Send that screenshot to the DM, and you are going to be entered in to win. Devin Swage, congratulations. You won last week's Colton Boomer prize. There are 2 more to give away, so make sure you get your Colton Boomer merchandise while you can. For Andy, for Brian, for Mike, for Trace in the portal, my voice is done. Flu game over. Everybody have a great day. Go Knights.